In honor of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake coming out later in 2026, let's do a special Warframe Fashion Frame Legend of Zelda edition. Now, I surveyed what seems like 100 people asking what frame in Warframe they thought Link would be if Link was a Warframe. And they said Nezha. So, show me Nezha. Okay, so on a slightly more serious note, Nezha is actually not the easiest frame to make into Link. Okay, if I'm being perfectly honest, I did my best. I think I did okay, all things considering. These are the colors that I used specifically. As you can see, this is blue from Classic Saturated. This is green just from the rollers color palette, but you could probably also find a similar green inside of the Shamrock color palette, I believe it is, if I can even find it. Yeah, inside the Shamrock color palette, you could probably find a similar green. And then, of course, we have this brighter green in Classic Saturated, again, probably in the Shamrock color palette. And then this orange is from the Classic Saturated. So that's what we have for there. As far as attachments, we don't really have any. We have Titanium Noble stance on, but that technically probably doesn't scream Link. So I'll probably just use like Excalibur Umbra stance or something. Yeah, maybe Jade's stance? No. I'll just use Excalibur Umbra stance. Yeah. I mean, do we have like a fighting-esque frame? You know what? We just where you at Valka? Where you at Valka? Yeah, I know. No. I know that it's something that you're like, what are you doing? When are you this? That will be fine. That will be fine. Okay. Okay. Anyway, we wasted a lot of time with that. For the skin, I actually have the Empyrean skin, which is the deluxe skin, but I'm not using the deluxe helmet. I'm using a different helmet. The helmet I'm using is the circular helmet. That's why I'm using it, because of the fact that it's the only one that went like a green thing, so it could be like a hood, if you will. So, yeah, I think that is the best I could do with that. Now, let's get on to the weapon, okay? Because as you know, Link carries a sword, okay? That's his main thing, a sword. He can technically use like a slingshot or it's arrows or whatnot. Actually, I guess he can technically have a bow later on, but I didn't think about that till just now. So we're just going with the sword. I invested everything in the sword, and I technically even cheated a little bit. Okay, I'll explain. The moving part you see in the sword, I mean, these are technically the colors of the shield. As you can see, we have our silverish, and then we have our blue, and then the gold is like the Triforce symbol and everything. That is the color of the shield. I did the best I could with that. How I cheated a little bit though is because of the simple fact that this is the obsidian skin, okay? Meaning that this particular skin is going to be PlayStation only. Now, this is the deluxe, this is a deluxe skin, I believe. There's also this skin, which is as close as you're gonna get to the obsidian skin. Actually, they are very similar skin-wise. So, if you don't have the obsidian skin, this one will probably be your next bet. Or you could just go with classic this, because, you know, this could be more traditional for you. So, but we went with this. And then as for the build, yes, I did a build for Fashion Frame, okay? Totsumi. Okay, so here's the build, okay? The build is, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to go critical damage or, you know, critical chance or status chance. So I went both. This is like a hybrid critical status. But wait, there's more. We also have this arcane on it. So on base critical hits, 54% chance. Okay, and then we also did a whole thing with, let me show you guys here. Okay. We also did a thing with the Talford. Yeah. Okay, so see, I did both of these melee critical damage because Link is all about melee. I did these melee critical chance because Link is all about melee critical chance. And I wanted to kind of duplicate the regenerative power of the, you know, fairy in the bottle, if you will. So that's why I did that. And then I have the startings of a build, but I didn't get to finish the build before making this video. But I went pretty heavily in health, because in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, you can get a crazy amount of hearts if you collect all the heart pieces. So there is that. And as you know, this whole video is just based on the premise of Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda, whatnot, if you will. In fact, let's actually go into a mission rather and see how this performs. Okay, still path incursion, and seems like a good way to go. So, and it looks like we are doing it solo with just the power of our sword and shield. Oh yeah! Okay, sword and shield. Let's go. Am I right or am I right? I forgot to mention I helmet an ability, Astral Shell. Yeah, just because I thought it would be neat. So, and that's literally the only reason. Yeah. But do you look at that damage? Ooh, I picked up some mods. Okay. Yeah, ha-ho. Okay. Remember, this is all sword and shield power. Of course, we can still use Nezha's ability, just I don't want to use them too much because, you know, it's not very Link-like, if that makes sense. Link is more like a sword, but he does have some powers. You know, in Ocarina of Time, he's given the wind and the Naru's love and the fire. He had given fire. Fire is like the first thing he'd given, so Nezha actually makes some sense, guys. We are making sense here. We are making history. We are making video games. Okay, we're not making video games. We're playing video games, but playing. I would say same difference, but then DE would say, "How dare you?" So, yeah, not gonna say that. Okay, and then the enemies, man, the enemies are just getting destroyed. The enemies are gone, just like that. Oh yeah, let's go. And that was some weird fashion frame gameplay, and I'm going to add this part to the end. Not sure who it's for exactly, but yeah, there we go. If Link was evil, there we go. If Link was evil, okay, yeah. And with that said, yeah,